Ayo, welcome into CHGO White Sox Postgame Show, coming to you live from our humble abodes after a White Sox win 5-3 over the Guardians and a White Sox series win over the Guardians after they win 7-4 on Saturday. Coming to you again live from our homes. It's the CHGO White Sox crew. I'm Sean Anderson. That's CHGO White Sox beat writer Vinnie Duber. You can read his latest piece about Corey Lee at allchgo.com. And that's Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
You can follow him on Twitter at Ecknerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. Herb, your guy, you put 23 in your Twitter handle. Robin Ventura, a part of one of the great White Sox fights, and we got another one. There was a game today, but I don't think it's going to be Jesse Schulten's time. I think it's time to talk about grown men fighting each other. So we're going to talk about the Tim Anderson and Jose Ramirez fight, scuffle, brawl. We'll determine. Brouhaha. We'll determine what the punishment should be for these folks. And then we'll get a little bit into White Sox baseball this weekend because, again, the White Sox did win 2 games. We appreciate everyone hanging out with us. Even Ian, who's saying me without a baseball cap isn't right. So that makes me feel really self-conscious. Thank you, Ian. Love you. Hit that thumbs up button. We appreciate it. Guys, what'd you make of the fight?
I'm not a fighter. I don't like fights in real life. And in baseball, they seem usually just insignificant, people just squaring up, try to, intimidate each other. But this was a real fight. They squared up and they threw blows. And Timmy got the worst of it. It was a couple throws he threw to Jose Ramirez, who's got a good duck game. And then Jose Ramirez threw a blind right hook, and it was 99 for Tim. So it's not that embarrassing to get into a fight and lose because, as my mom told me when I was a kid, one of these days you're going to run into somebody who's tougher than you, and it's going to be a tough day. And that's yesterday for Tim Anderson. He ran into a dude who doesn't look like much, 5'8", about $190. But Jose Ramirez packs a punch, literally and figuratively. And, yeah, they won that fight. But the White Sox won the season series over the Cleveland Guardians, which I take solace in. And also they won the series this weekend versus Cleveland, who is going for the AL Central title with the Minnesota Twins. So, yes, the White Sox lost the battle, but overall, they won the war over Cleveland.
I'm of a couple of minds about stuff like this. Herb, I totally agree with you. I think it's dumb when people fight in any, in any setting, particularly when you're at work, which I always think is absolutely ridiculous that these guys are behaving this way when they're at their job and trying to be professional. But at the same time, this is an entertainment product, and fans, not all of them certainly, but a large percentage of them, like when this kind of thing happens. They think that it's fun to watch, and we cannot argue that it is memorable. Sean, you started the show talking about Robin Ventura. We've got reporters to this day asking random White Sox players before crosstown games about AJ Pierzynski getting punched in the face. We've got, people writing oral histories of the time the White Sox fought the Tigers that one time. It is truly something that gets remembered. It is something that becomes part of the entertainment product. And I think it's dumb and stupid that it happens in the first place. But then when you look back on it, everybody's talking about it, everybody's into it, and it's kind of part of that viral nature of baseball that they're always struggling to achieve, right? I mean, you've got a guy in Ohtani doing stuff that should be going viral every single day, struggling to break through to the larger, audience of just, people around the country and around the city in the case of, when you're talking about a local team. But, something like this pops up on the timelines, and it's kind of impossible to ignore, and it generates interest. And I'm sure we're going to go into TA and his history of doing kind of stuff like this and what he might have been thinking last night. But there's no doubt that he is a guy who is a lightning rod, for better or worse, when it comes to people talking about the way baseball is and should be. So here he is once again in the middle of something like this.
Yeah, and TA did not play today. We did not have comments from TA after the game, so we don't really know what Tim thinks of all of this. So we're still waiting his thoughts. But we will get into Terry Francona, Jose Ramirez's thoughts, and Pedro Grifol's comments about the fight. But Vinny, you do bring up something that I agree with. But again, we are also a content machine. So since we have 4 people, I think we could do a quick snake draft. Which coworker could you beat in a fight draft? Okay. All right, Vinny, you have first pick. Who are you going to beat in a fight? Coworkers only.
But I actually have to tell you who I think I could beat in a fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The answer is no one. I've never thrown a punch. I don't ever plan to throw a punch. I think it would just break all of my fingers probably. Yeah, I couldn't beat anybody in a fight.
Well,
I guess I'm deferring my first round pick.
I'm going second. I'm picking Vinny.
You'd win. You would win.
No, it's a good point. And that's why I think, again, it gets remembered. That's the main point that you brought up. And I was living that lake life this weekend. Very, very lucky. Very, very happy. And my family members just come pouring out of the house and they're like, hey, did you see what happened? Hey, did you see what happened? Hey, did you see what happened? Because it's not baseball. Right. Fighting is not a part of the baseball rules, the baseball culture. It is in hockey. It is in NFL training camp. I mean, hey, you'll see guys smacking each other in the head and then running off 20 yards down the line and an offensive lineman's chasing them. But in baseball, it's remembered even if the fights are bad. I mean, the Robin Ventura one, Nolan Ryan gives him a noogie. Like, that's just not entertaining. This one, I mean, he threw a Fight Night 2 blind KO punch, hit right trigger and square and just ducked and threw a looping hook and got Tim. And it's very crazy to see on a baseball field. And I think that's why, like, my stance is I don't even think these guys should be suspended, right? I mean, this is baseball. This is playing somebody 17 to 14 times in a season, and we don't see it that often. We didn't see any retaliation today. Like, they handled it. They got it done. Someone was punched in the face. I think they could step back and be like, hey, whoa, that got a little too out of hand here. So, I mean, I totally understand the remarks, but I think that's what makes it so fun, because it doesn't happen. And it only happens when, like, something is either being stirred up by Tim, according to Terry Francona and Jose Ramirez, or, just when, I guess, you slide into home plate and Michael Barrett punches you. Do you think Tim was jawing? I mean, that's the reports from the Cleveland clubhouse. Terry Francona saying that he was talking to Gabriel Arias the whole time. And then when he slid into second, there was the hard tag, possibly. I mean, what'd you make of how it even happened? Because the Sox were up 5-0. Ramirez hits that double, scores a run, makes it 5-1. And then when he's going to second, there is that hard tag. And that's what starts getting them up, jawing with each other. And then Tim throws his glove down and start looking like Glass Joe, the way he's standing with his 1920s boxing stance.
Yeah, the broadcast, NBC Sports Chicago, showed a part of the beginning of, I don't know what inning it was, but Pedro Grifol had to go out and talk to the umpire. And I didn't know what it was about necessarily, because you can hear kind of the crowd mic, but it was, not very clear exactly what was said, but you could hear something jawing going back and forth. But it turned out to be Tim at the back end of the dugout talking to second baseman Gabriel Arias, and the umpire telling him to cool off and stop it, and that's why Pedro went out and talked to the umpire about it, to make sure what was going on, and didn't want to cause a big kerfuffle and didn't want Tim to be kicked out of the game. Then that slide happened, I think 2 or 3 innings after that. For me, I didn't see a hard tag, but Jose knows himself. He knows he's been tagged before. And maybe, as with Josh Donaldson and Tim Anderson, they don't have a familiar relationship. They don't have a relationship where you can tag them hard. You see Acuna and I forgot the guy's name, Segura. They kind of have that relationship where they tag each other hard. They play with each other. They hit each other while they're on the bases. But Tim and Jose don't rock like that. And so you saw Tim hold the tag there a little longer. Jose Ramirez kind of instigate the fight with a punch to the back of the knee of Tim while Tim was about to get up over him. And then that's where the jawing starts. And then, as I think it was Mansuli on Twitter, not the real Mansuli, a guy just goes by the name, pointed out that Jose Ramirez point it in Tim's face, like right directly in his face, and no person is going to allow that to stand. Now, whether he talks to him or it's going to be squaring up like Tim did is the difference. Tim, squared up after that. And if you square up after that, hey, man, anything after that is a fair game. Even though I'm not liking fighting, if you do that, you better win. And you come out the way that Tim came out, it's not good. And as we're talking about Robin Ventura, which happened on August 4th in 1993, this happened on August 5th, 2023. So 30 years almost to the day of another White Sox getting embarrassed by a player while they started the fight, started the actual, fisticuffs. So it's not good for the White Sox. And I fear, like I wrote last night, that this is going to follow Tim. This is the thing that people 30 years from now, when we're having another White Sox fight, people are going to bring up about Tim, not the Silver Sluggers, not the All-Star appearances, not the corn game, a walk-off home run, but Tim got his wig split by Jose Ramirez. I mean, if you think about Jose Bautista, you think about the walk-off home run in the playoffs, but you also think about him getting snacked by Rougned Odor at second base. And by the way, somebody pointed out Elvis Andrus on the field for both of those.
Wow.
Watching his teammate getting
Forrest Gump.
His teammate either getting throwing the punch or the teammate getting the punch received.
Did you know he was actually in Texas for the Nolan Ryan and Robin Ventura fight too?
I would not doubt it. He
was on the bench.
A player forever.
It's weird. This is not the first time something like this has happened with TA. Obviously, it's probably the one that is most visually memorable, right? This is something that is going to run as a clip and a highlight for a long, long time. Herb, you're right. But, TA has been involved in this kind of thing before. There was the benches clearing incident in Detroit where he was, involved with that and ended up getting suspended because of he makes contact with an umpire. You mentioned the Donaldson thing, which obviously we know is all Donaldson's doing. That's not really Tim's fault there. But, Tim, I believe it was in Cleveland. Middle finger to the fans that earned him a suspension. There in Cleveland, like this is, it's part of him. And I think that it is probably, that attitude that he has on the field is 99% of the time is a good thing and a good thing for him. Usually, in the way that he acts, he's talked about having a killer instinct and being, a guy who wants to beat the other team really, really badly. And he's also someone who can use that to motivate his teammates. It's good for the game. We remember the bat flip heard around the world, the whole Brad Keller thing. He didn't get suspended for hitting a home run or flipping his bat. He got suspended for what he said to Brad Keller after he got hit by a pitch. Again, there was nuance to that, and I'm not saying Tim Anderson did a wrong thing and he deserved to be suspended. There was nuance there for sure. But he's a guy that's going to open his mouth when he feels like he needs to. It seems like he was opening his mouth quite a bit to the Cleveland Guardians last night from what they are reporting, after the game. Heck, I believe Jose Ramirez was quoted as saying that TA told him he wanted to fight. This is, who knows what that actual exchange was like if either of the guys heard each other correctly. But it seemed to me to maybe stem from the fact that TA didn't remove himself from standing over Jose Ramirez right away. That's a kind of thing that we've seen athletes in general in the past really not like. I was watching the soccer game this morning, and I think we saw something like that too in the soccer game. So that is something that happens quite a bit in sports. But again, this is something that TA has a history of the quote-unquote extracurricular activity, if you will, in terms of the non-baseball part of being on a baseball field. And it, again, I think it's something that most of the time makes him really, really good. But there are times that it can lead to stuff like this. And we've seen it now with a team that, Herb, you brought it up earlier. This is a division opponent. You see them all the time. And that history is going to build.
And right, and AV Breeze 25 saying Ramirez went at TA's knees when he was injured earlier this year. Like that stuff that is just very fandom driven, right? Like that is going to be like you're always going to build a narrative when you see somebody 17 times in a year or whatever. How many times do they play now?
12, right?
12. Okay, yeah. Cut down from 17.
Yeah. 19 was 19. Yeah.
19. When you see a team 12 times like this, and you're winning for a possible wild card or division, and I think even someone mentioned this could possibly hurt the Guardians wild card race here, as Jose Ramirez, their best player, might get suspended. But we'll never know the nuances of every single thing that led up to this between Jose Ramirez and Tim Anderson, because they've played 50 plus games against each other. So we really don't know who has done what the scoreboard is, because at the end of the day, these two men shouldn't be punching each other on a baseball field. So,
correct.
Both guys lose. Tim Anderson might have been unconcussed or concussed and knocked out and unconscious. But at the end, baseball loses. But to go to what Francona said, this is from MLB.com. Francona said Tim had been chirping at Gabriel Arias all night after his actions caused so much frustration in Cleveland's clubhouse the night before. The Guardians had no interest in hearing more from the shortstop. Quote, I know that Anderson was yelling at Arias because the umpire went and told him to knock it off, Francona said. Quote, Anderson said some things he probably shouldn't have, end quote. And then this is from Jose Ramirez through Augustin Rivero, the Guardians interpreter. I think Tim has been disrespecting the game for a while. It's not from yesterday. It's from before. I even had the chance to tell him during the game, don't do this stuff. That's disrespectful. Don't start tagging people like that, because in reality, we are here trying to find ways to provide for our families. Rewatching the tag, I don't know. Maybe Jose thought that Tim was like going for his head, and then like Jose was able to duck, and then Tim gets him on the butt. But it really seemed innocuous. It just seemed like Jose was underneath Tim and just kind of standing up, and Tim was probably saying something, and he had probably been saying something the entire series. Like, I'm never going to tell anyone to knock that off. Like, that's what I like about Tim. Herb, you've seen it on the softball field. I am definitely way too competitive. I have been told by our umpire to turn it down. Okay. I mean, we've all been there, folks. It's competition. I don't think either of these guys are bad people, but you're always going to be for your side. So, I mean, you're always going to try to build some narrative against the other person because that's your guy. These guys shouldn't be doing this in the bottom line. I mean, Tim shouldn't be dropping his glove and again standing like the Endy, fighting leprechaun. I'm fine with him talking trash, but if you talk too much trash, you might have to deal with it, and it's just unfortunate.
Well, and again, this kind of smacks of the whole. This is someone telling Tim Anderson how he should play baseball thing. You know what I mean? This is Josh Donaldson all over again. This is Brad Keller all over again, and obviously these are different situations each and every time, but don't tell Tim Anderson how he should be going about playing baseball. We have seen that when he plays baseball the way he wants to and the way that he hopes to, not only is he very successful at playing baseball, but he's very entertaining, and he brings something to baseball that baseball sorely needs. That was the conversation way back when with the bat flip. It's been the conversation throughout, and there are hints of this again now. What is he doing to disrespect the game, Jose Ramirez? And also, the game is an inanimate object. It doesn't get offended. So it's absolutely, Tim, if you're saying stuff that is mean and offensive to people, don't do that. And you know what? Don't get in a fight. Don't drop your glove. Don't try to punch somebody. But at the same time, let's not have a giant, we need to step in to enforce this stupid nonsense because I think Tim Anderson is not doing things the way I think Tim Anderson should be doing them. That's ridiculous. Tim Anderson should play the game the way he wants to play. Jose Ramirez, who, by the way, is a massively entertaining and massively successful baseball player, love watching him play. He should be playing the way he thinks he should be playing. And at the end of the day, we'll see whose style of play wins. More times than not, certainly against this White Sox team, it's been Jose Ramirez's. So, that's something that I really want to stop here. I really, really want to stop hearing people telling Tim Anderson how he should be playing baseball.
And with that, too, I feel like, Tim's had a bad year, and it's been the fall off has really led some people, and in this comment section right here, somebody's talking about rap sheet. Tim hasn't been arrested. We're talking about rap sheets. And so I, what I'm getting at. There's some coded language going on. Tim deserves your anger about his play. He deserves some derision for all the stuff that he does that you think are falling short on the field. But there's some people taking it too far, and the whistles are blowing. Let me just say that. The dog whistles are blowing. I can hear them. Tim deserves your scorn, but not all the stuff that's been hurting. Like today, there was a thing that people had him compared with in the same category as Mike Clevenger. Tim has never had anything that has rivaled what Mike Clevenger has allegedly done off the field. So I just want to nip that in the bud. Laugh at the jokes. I've been clowning on Tim too. If you asked him, and what I would advise Tim to do is to lean into this thing. Lean into it. Yeah, I got knocked out, but I got up. Knocked down 7 times, get up 8. Something like that. Go with a company that's going to give you that type of thing. Make fun of yourself. Lean into the joke. If you go the other way and you say, I'll never talk about this, that's going to be your thing. That's going to be your legacy. So I think that we can make fun of Tim and we can tell him that he deserves it for popping off and talking too much. Sometimes the whole saying of, don't cash checks that your ass can't cash, or something like that.
That your mouth can't cash.
Yeah, and so he definitely wrote some checks out there and some wolf tickets, and he got caught up last night. But we can keep it at that. Going a little far on the rap sheets and all these other extra stuff that I can hear. Well, I'm just letting you guys know. I hear them.
Right.
It's noted. It is noted. Not you guys, but the people who are listening and watching.
Yeah, no, and sorry to step on your toes there. But you're right. I mean, this doesn't change my opinion of 2023 Tim Anderson. It's goofy. It's dumb men getting each other's faces and screaming. And one of them's talking about how they're providing for their families. Like, Jose Ramirez, you play in Cleveland. Calm down. Relax. I get it. You got your money. No one's trying to and maybe Tim saying stuff that's completely out of line. I mean, again, the umpire apparently said something to him. If that's the case, then MLB would handle that. I don't know. We don't know enough about that. We don't have access to the field mics. We don't know what he was saying to Gabriel Arias. And clearly it was enough to piss Cleveland off. But again, he's not a criminal for, shit talking during a baseball game. He's just a struggling baseball player. But I mean, that's the most exciting thing that we've seen in White Sox baseball all year. So I'm not mad at Tim. I mean, hey, let's give us a little more entertainment. Let's pause real quick. We'll take an ad break and then we'll rejoin this conversation. I do want to go with Pedro Grifol said because there was so much entertaining last night, and then Pedro spoke. Let's let you know about our friends over at Goose Island.
A little shade on the way out.
It's all cute. Always keep it. The library is open. CHGO supported by Goose Island Beer Company, Chicago's beer since 1988. The beer roster includes 312 Wheat Ale, our favorite in the office, the Goose IPA. It's a 6-time Medal Award winner at the Great American Beer Fest, and the lovely Tropical Beer Hug, the Beer Hug IPA series. They have the tropical one that's at 9.9% alcohol. That's dangerously easy to drink. They have the hazy one at 6.8. They got the neon one at 7, and the juicy at 7.3. A lot of tantalizing flavors in the Beer Hug IPA series. And you can grab an ultra fresh brewery exclusive beer at Goose Island's original brew house on Clybourne Avenue in Lincoln Park, or from their tap room on Fulton Street in Westtown. Goose Island Beer Company, Chicago's beer. We also have an event coming up in 10 days at Wrigley Field. Vinny, are you going?
I mean, I'll be working.
Okay, you're gonna be working. I guess
yeah.
It's not.
I'll be in the building.
Well, I know you travel to a guaranteed rate for the Southpaw thing to be Southpaw, but I just didn't know if you could go to Wrigley Field, but the Southpaw badge gets you in.
I see. So your theory now is that every time I go to the ballpark, I'm not actually working for us. I'm just there by happenstance doing my other job.
I think you can multitask, and I think that you are Vinnie Duber in the Southpaw suit. You're getting a very interesting angle.
Sure.
I don't think Clark lets Southpaw in.
They'd have to. Come on. I mean, we'll have a talking with the Cubs guys if they're not letting Southpaw in. He's friendly.
This isn't like college football where the opposing mascot comes and stands at in the other end zone.
But that'd be fun. Why don't they? Because people will beat them up.
If you're one of these people who wants to see fights in baseball, you should be rooting for that, because the mascot fights, who cares about that? Mascot fights can be choreographed. That's what you want to see, right?
I would love to see Clark and Southpaw go at it. Anyways,
I once saw Ozzie Cougar and the San Diego Chicken tag team to beat up Barney the Dinosaur at a Cougars game.
Barney?
Yeah.
Like Barney, or like
Barney the dinosaur? Yeah.
Like a knockoff Barney though.
I don't think it was an authorized Barney appearance.
Okay,
but
that's what I was trying to get
Barney
to.
the dinosaur, yeah.
That'd be really expensive, especially like back in the day. Like Barney was at a real peak then. I mean, that Barney would have been real expensive.
That's a disadvantage right there. Was Berserk even available to help Barney out?
Berserk was not in the building. Myron Noodleman not present.
Herb, do you know why?
Who knew where the superstars were, Herb?
But the San Diego Chicken, why was he there? What was his thing?
He was
a big deal. He would travel around to like minor league parks. It was like, oh, come out to the game tonight and you'll get to see the legendary antics of the San Diego Chicken.
But like, was there why chicken? Like, why was
you're not famous with the San Diego Chicken? You're not familiar?
No. No, but I am. I know, but like,
yeah.
But like, why San Diego? Why chicken? Was it there a team? Like, I just know he's a mascot, but I didn't think there's ever any. Is that the bit? He's
a chicken, and he was in San Diego.
Okay, cool. All right. I don't know.
There's not much. I don't think there's a whole ton of thought being put into that. Yeah.
The character originated from an animated TV commercial. All right, there you go. I didn't know. I mean, I wasn't in San Diego in 1974 watching the commercials. Herb, were you?
Almost, but no.
Okay. You were a little later.
It's a famous guy. Yeah, I think that guy is not with us anymore, but
I believe he is. He was present at the Joe West game, the record-setting Joe West game at the Sox game 2 years ago.
Yeah, Ted Janulius.
Yeah. Joe West requested that the San Diego Chicken be present and do some stuff.
60s.
Ted Janulius. Or Joe
53.
West.
Born in 53. So he's still with us.
All right, good.
Not that old. I thought he was older than that.
Sky Point. All right, let's get through the ads. Game time. Buying last minute tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful. Game Time is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets to all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. Obviously, you can go see a White Sox game and they can get you in, and we'll give you a nice little code at the end to get some money off. You can go see the Yankees play. The Yankees are coming to town, folks. We're very excited about that. You can go check out the Yankees at US Cellular. What year is it? Guaranteed Rate Field with our friends over at Game Time. They have killer last minute deals on last minute tickets and their best price guarantee. You can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for all the fun you'll have. Vinny, have you gone to the Night Sweats yet? Is that coming out?
It's Thursday. I will be there. My first trip to the Salt Shed, bought on Game Time, purchased on Game Time.
Nice. And we got so many beautiful venues in Chicago. So go take advantage of this code. Forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Again, the Yankees are coming to town. Who doesn't want to see the Yankees? We got some starred comments here. Steven, what's going on? You just like these? Just a fan of these comments?
I was just putting them on there because we have so many comments coming in. I wanted to make sure I have the ones that I want to put on screen ready to go because they're so hard to sift through right now. We have 145 watching, and we just crossed over 34,000 subscribers.
All right.
Thank you.
Look at you.
Great.
Gavin Floyd numbers 1,000 subscribers.
Don't do that.
There's 34,000 Gavin Floyd lovers. So let's go to some of these comments then. And shout out to everybody listening. Hit that like button. And our guy, Other Sean, who's got Herb in the profile picture. I think the comeback today was entertaining. A save for Jimmy freaking Lambert. We'll get to that a little bit later. I think I got some Michael Kopech thoughts as well. But after this series win against Cleveland, I think Hans Fladelfall is that this team is to beat the crap out of the AL Central. I was surprised when you told me that the Guardians lost the season series to the White Sox. Blinking, you might miss it. Was Tim available?
Handily so, right?
I think it turned out to be 7-5.
Oh, okay.
I think.
I think maybe it was 8-4.
Or maybe 8-4.
Yeah.
8-4.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
And they're 22 games under 500?
23. The White Sox are 23.
68-45. I don't know. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. I don't know how to
Something
math.
like that.
I don't know. I don't know math. And then Victor said, imagine if Tim was brought out to pinch hit in the ninth today. I thought immediately when J-Ram was on second in the ninth, for some reason, I just was like, I blocked it out that Elvis Andrus was playing shortstop. And I was like, oh, slick play by Tim. He's probably wanted to show off for Jose Ramirez right there. But I guess not. Was he not available? I didn't hear any specific comment.
I think
from
he
Pedro.
was available. I believe the idea
off.
is that it was a scheduled day off, I believe is what I saw from the Sun Times' Daryl Van Scowen, who was out in the Cleve this weekend.
And then Benny had a day off too, and he only went in the game to relieve Eloy's legs for running
Pinch
around.
runner,
So, yeah, so that makes sense. All right, let's get to Pedro Grifol's comments, or kind of lack thereof. Grifol, after this fracas, scuffle, what are we calling it? Brawl?
Herb used the best word already, brouhaha. That's the one I like, yeah.
After this brouhaha,
I also know how to spell it, which is exciting too.
Spell it.
Brouhaha. All one word, brouhaha.
Country of origin?
Good question.
Mythical.
Yeah.
So,
we had Victor Von Doom in the chat, so let's go ahead and call it Latveria.
Pedro's comments after the game, quote, "I'm not going to comment on it," said Grifol, who with Sourbaugh to I don't know, I'm sorry. I'm not going to comment on it. I think I'm going to let MLB figure it out, do their investigation, and watch the video. They have some work to do. Pedro Grifol not saying anything of note, truly. And I was just trying to read that word from Daryl writing in the Sun Times. But what do we make of Pedro not commenting on it? Because it seemed like Terry Francona was very happy to comment on it. We see, Jose Ramirez saying that Tim Anderson was disrespecting the game. I know Kopech, who was the starter, had some comments on there, but it was mostly, you're going to see a lot of each other. Basically what I've been saying, stuff happens. What do we make of Pedro's comment?
I didn't think it was terribly unusual, particularly because he was ejected, correct? I think it, when we hear, let's say, a manager gets in the grill of an umpire and is mad about something and gets ejected, sometimes the manager will just go, I'm not going to say anything else because I'm so mad that I don't want to say anything that's going to get me, fined or suspended, complaining after the fact kind of thing. This might be one of those situations, and especially because he mentioned that MLB has to sift through a lot and figure out what's going on, what sort of punishments they have to hand down. Maybe he just didn't want to give anybody else any additional, reason to look into his team, his players, or him personally in terms of what went ahead and went down. Terry Francona is a World Series winning manager who's been around for a very long time. He has the, I don't know if you want to use the word cachet, but he has the kind of reputation that he can kind of speak on these things, and he's walked these lines many times before. I'm not sure that Pedro Grifol has, even though he's been part of a big league coaching staff for a long time before coming over to the White Sox. But I wasn't surprised by the lack of detail that he went into, simply because, it was a situation where he was ejected as well as his player and maybe didn't want to walk down that road any further.
Yeah, and I don't know what Pedro would say in the situation that happened before him. Like he would maybe talk about the thing that Terry talked about, that Terry Francona was kind of wolfing at Tim, that he was only being aggressive when there was 3 or 4 White Sox in front of him, type of such situation. That, I think, is what triggered off Pedro from yelling at the third base coach and at Tito himself. And so that would be the only thing I would think that he would volunteer. And what does that do for him and the team going forward? So I think it's good to bite his tongue and not say anything, while also think it's kind of funny that what Tito Francona said. It's funny. It was good. Like, they asked him, did you see him catch that left hook? He's like, no, right hook. It was a right hook. And, he was kind of having a little fun with it. And so be it. He could, do your thing. I have no problem with him actually having a problem with Tim and having his players back, and then having a little fun with Tim and joking with the press that he caught him with that right hand. And same thing with Jose Ramirez. I think there's a very little fault that goes with this whole fight situation, and however people handle it, they handled it. But I don't say, like, usually I would say, yeah, Guardians, no, they did wrong right now. I didn't see anything wrong from J-Ram except for the hit to Tim's knee, and that was about it. He was challenged to a fight. He started that fight, or had that fight, and he finished that fight. That's all good. Same thing with Terry Francona. His player, he was protecting him. He thought the other guy was out of line, so he spoke up during the time. So however everybody handled their roles last night post-fight, and then not talking or talking, I think was the best idea. I don't know what you do with Tim, Mike, after that. Like, I'm glad they sent him home or sent him back to the hotel and didn't play him today, because I don't know what you're going to get today, or what you're going to get out of him after being so steamed last night and having Andrew Vaughn Another good thing. That man picked up another grown man and carried him a
Country
far
strength.
distance. I did not know that. I didn't know Andrew had all that. Baby, let's go. Let's
if he starts pulling the ball, he'll hit homers.
I was about to say, let's start translating that into the actual baseball stuff, because that is strong. And people are like, oh, he's only 185. Go find a 185-pound man, and you walk with that 185-pound
who's
man
trying to get away from you.
Exactly. That doesn't want to be caught. And just taking him wherever you need to. Jose Abreu did that, but Jose's like 6'3" and 2+. Andrew's shorter and less weight than Tim, and he's carrying him like a rag doll. But everybody after post-fight, I think they did the right things, and especially the White Sox not letting Tim talk, and then Pedro giving him already. He said it was a scheduled day off, so I gotta believe Pedro. It was a scheduled day off from him and Andrew Benintendi.
Yeah, I do believe that it would be a scheduled day off. I mean, it's a Sunday, and that's been pretty, apropos, maybe, of Pedro Grifol's lineup construction. Yeah, and I don't know about Tim hiding, because it really did seem like Andrew Vaughn. We heard a lot of leadership comments from Rick Hahn at the trade deadline about Andrew Vaughn. It just kind of seemed like Andrew Vaughn was stepping up because, again, fights are stupid. These guys shouldn't be fighting at work. And I think maybe that's Pedro's thought, is he just didn't want to be too harsh on those two guys fighting, because he probably didn't like them fighting. But he also doesn't want to step on Tim being Tim. Like, I don't know. I just felt like it was, he probably felt like he probably couldn't win either way. I don't know. He doesn't seem like he would like fighting. I don't know. Pedro?
Who knows? Sometimes,
Maybe.
Sometimes there are folks who think that that's very much part of the game. You know what I mean? And I don't think that it needs to be. I mean, heck, the comparison's always made between hockey and, how, they fight in hockey all the time and it's fine and it's part of the game and everything. But is it? Does it have to be? I mean, we watched a Blackhawks team for how many years that really never gotten to that sort of thing. They did it occasionally, obviously, but certain players would. But for the most part, they kind of shied away from that aspect of it, even the hitting aspect of it, kind of the rough play. And they managed to be as successful, if not more successful than anybody else. So it seems that you could certainly drop some of that old school thinking and still be a very successful and very, hard-nosed and energetic and successful player, an athlete in any sport, really.
Yeah, right. Well, and it seems like hockey, they've just, like most sports, they've focused on speed, and it's just been less about hitting and fighting. But still, I mean, like, checking is a part of hockey. Like, that is a way you play defense. There's no like, hard tags is not a thing. That's just you being an ass. Like, there's nothing in baseball that should be instigating. It's a pastime. It's supposed to be, hey, we have 2 hours to kill because it's 1886 and it's this, or we could just get whooping cough and die. So hey, let's go play some baseball. No one was trying to take it too seriously. I think that's what Jose Ramirez is saying. But then you're saying disrespecting the game. We're all about our families. Like, Tim, I don't think was trying to say anything like that, because I mean, Tim's gone through the struggles. But yeah, I don't know, of being a Major League Baseball player. I liked Vaughn though.
Well, and that
was great.
I will just say this again. We didn't hear from Tim. I'm not going to try to guess what's going on in his head, but
do you think you'll hear from him tomorrow?
Good question. I don't know. We'll find out. But I will say this. Tim is all about, through his own words, he's Mr. Have Fun. He's Mr. Entertainment and put on everything. He didn't really seem too mad during that fight. Do you think he was angered to the point of fighting, or do you think he was, goofing around and it just happened to involve some fighting? I don't know. I'm not going to guess. I'm not going to guess, but it again, he didn't seem too angered by anything. Obviously, maybe feeling, the finger in the face, Herb, as you mentioned, can set off anybody. But I don't know. When you drop your glove like that and put up the leprechaun dukes, as you were saying, Sean, is that something you do if you're actually trying to succeed in fighting somebody? Again, I don't know. I don't have any fighting experience. So
exactly.
We'll see.
Just also, like, if you put your dukes up, as the old school term goes, you got to keep your dukes up. Like, he would have not caught that right if he would have kept his dukes up. Lowering your dukes like that, it's like you're inviting that right hook. So Tim needs to get in that boxing gym. That's the thing. Find a boxer to train you, so you can go. You have an all-season fight with Jose Ramirez for charity. Something. Lean into it, Tim. If you don't, man, this is going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, well, it reminds me of the Roy Wood Jr. tweet I saw yesterday. The Alabama coalition will not be offering a statement on the Tim Anderson fight. Please respect our privacy at this state of time. And then his response, I don't know what movie this is from, but it's you win some, you lose some. And then, wait, what's the finishing lyric? Oh my, I'm sorry. The GIF is going too slow, but you live to fight another day. But he says, starting form was solid though. Classic Southern black man. Put your dukes up, young blood.
But you win some, you lose some, you fight a day. That's from Friday.
Okay, it looked like Friday.
Craig's dad told Craig that because Craig was about to bring a gun out to kill Debo, but he said, just fight him with your hands, which he did, and he won.
So
Debo's in that movie?
Yes, I mean he's about the same size. Daryl Boss is about the same size as the actor Tiny Lister, who is not with us anymore. Rest in peace. But yes,
bad point. Yeah, I again, I like that. I don't know. It's hopefully they don't get suspended. I don't know. I think that's my. Do you think they'll get suspended for probably like 2 to 3 games?
Yes.
I mean,
yes. I think Tim will probably get the lion's share of the, if not 7+ games, because of. And if you were going with this as the rap sheet, which rap sheet is more criminal, but if you're going with this, he has multiple run-ins with umpires, though. I think he'll probably get something that's 7, maybe 10 games. And then Jose Ramirez, which will hurt Cleveland more, will get something like 5 games because he was in the incident. And like I said, I think if they look at the tape, he's the one who started all the contact with the punch to Ken's knee. So 5 games for him, 7+ for Tim. And then Clase might get 3.
Clase.
Yeah, he got suspended. He got thrown out of the game last night for his actions, what he did. But it was only Noah Syndergaard and how big and tall he is that didn't get Clase into more trouble because he couldn't get to the fracas a little bit more.
I just missed out on that. There was so much happening. I mean, then Eloy is like limping and away from the fracas. Seems like he's okay, but I mean, those legs seem sore. I mean, you sprint out for a brawl.
It seems like somebody stepped on his foot.
Yeah,
is what it seemed like. Yeah, because he was in the middle of everything and then started hopping out on the one foot, and I'm like, the phrase I always say, the lyric I always say, if it wasn't for bad luck, you wouldn't have no luck at all. But I'm like, here we go again with something goofy like this happening. But to see him in the lineup today, obviously he's fine. So I think somebody might have just stepped on his foot.
Well, and then we see Clase in the game too, and the Sox are able to get the win off of him. So let's take a break. We'll talk a little bit about today's game. We'll talk a little bit about them winning the series season, and we'll talk a little bit about Kopech as well. These season numbers, though, are surprising for a team that's 23 games under 500. Let's let you know, though, about our friends over at Shady Rays. Take on the sun with gear built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with the warm weather ahead with premium polarized shades at an affordable price. Got a lot of compliments on my shades on the lake this week. They were very polarized. They were very clear. They look good. And I told someone the price, and they were just kind of astonished because, again, they are better than any expensive pair you've ever worn. I have sat on them just like a cheap pair and they haven't broken. Like, there is nothing that I think that you can do to break your Shady Rays. And if you do, they're not going to ask any questions. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us that they will send you a brand new pair. No questions asked. You wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after your purchase. But again, they have durable frames and extremely clear optics for outdoor adventures. Truly the best sunglasses that I have ever owned. And if you don't love your Shady Rays, you can exchange them for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back. And exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving their best deal out for the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use code CHGO for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized shades. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. And they have a ton of different selections too. So go just, waste a Sunday looking at sunglasses. That seems very fun. That seems like something that you could do.
I got a new pair recently and I put them on. I wore them out for the first time yesterday. And my wife said they made me look cool. So how about that?
Hey,
how about that?
Nice. Always cool when your wife likes you.
It's the most important. It's the most important constituency, certainly.
Absolutely. And hey, we know we love our friends over at Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kind of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. Sunnyside has everything you need to elevate your summer. It's a one-stop shop for all your cannabis needs, no matter where you are on your cannabis journey. They have easy online ordering and in-store pickup, and they have a great transparent loyalty program, Sunnyside Rewards, so you will get rewarded for buying your cannabis. Illinois' favorite dispensary, Herb, I know yours is in Wrigleyville. I like Correct. The one over by our guy Law Dog in Elmwood. But what's your favorite? What's your go-to? I know you go for the gummies, right?
Yeah, I go Friday. I was gonna show you. It's right behind the camera, but I don't want to reach over. But Friday gummies, delicious, sativa based, get you right, nice and right where you need to be.
Right where you need to be to play some video games and kick some ass on MLB The Show.
Oh man. Sorry, kids. You're
thinking about it. We got 15 minutes, Herb. Don't worry. I'm going to be there with you. They got Mindy's, Cresco, Good News, like Herb said, High Supply, Floracal, Wonder, Remedy, a ton of in-house brands. So through August, it's right now, a couple days left. Head to sunnyside.shop and use code CHGO25 at checkout for 25% off your total order. One use per customer, and it's not stackable with other promotions. That's not only for new customers. Anyone can use our code. Pick up everything you need to elevate your summer. Must be 21 plus or an Illinois Med card holder. And finally, we want to let you know about our friends over at FOCO. And they have helped deck out our in-set studio, and we're very excited to be back there tomorrow for Yankees postgame. But you'll see the lovely Southpaw mascot bobblehead, the great TA bobblehead that we have. So go check out their website too. You can get lost with all their hoodies, shoes, signs, bobbleheads, and everything in between. They have the best sports gear around. They have checkered overalls that the big lineman Tevin Jenkins was wearing. I mean, not only do they have a crazy amount of wacky stuff to be a fan, they also have huge sizes for NFL linemen. So, you're going to be covered no matter what. So go check out foco.com, FOCO.com, or click on the link in the description below for all non-presale items. Use the promo code CHGO for 10% off. And they also have some stuff to get you ready for baseball. Aloha shirts, straw hats, polos, bags. So if you're buying some tickets on game time to go to the Yankees game, I don't think you can get one-day shipping with FOCO, but you can get 10% off with code CHGO. All right, so right now, here are these stats. Did they play 13 games against Cleveland? Because right now the record was 7-5. That wasn't final. So now it's 8-5, I think.
Okay.
I think they played 13 games against Cleveland. So 8-5 against Cleveland. I just want to bring it up because I know we talked about 12 divisional games. So it's maybe 12 or 13. It's getting to 162 is weird. But 8-5 against Cleveland, 4-3 against Detroit, 4-3 against Kansas City, 3-6 against Minnesota. I mean, again, for a team that's 23 under and that is in this bad of a division, like Michael Kopech threw some shade at, Cleveland's still under 500.
I don't know why.
Why what?
Why did he do that? They're so much further under 500.
Yeah, but
exactly.
They both suck.
He's like, we suck.
Dissing them for being in a sub 500 team.
But not going to. The quote was, "We're not going to get bullied by a team that's also playing less than 500 baseball."
So if you're above 500, you can get bullied by them now.
Yankees are going to come in and take your lunch money.
Didn't make any sense.
But I mean, is this surprising for like the White Sox are clearly failing everywhere else but the division? I guess Minnesota, but you even look at the first game that they played, TA's getting injured, and that obviously affects the entire White Sox series and season after that.
Yeah, if you tell me that Luis Robert's going to have one of the best years of the American League and the best of his career, hit 30 home runs plus, and
one double away from 30-30.
Yeah, you're going to get pretty good effort from Lucas Giolito most of the year. You're going to get good effort from various and sundry players, and you're going to beat Cleveland in the season series. I'm like, baby, that is a team that's looking for the AL Central Championship, but no, nowhere near that. So it's a conundrum that they played so well versus Cleveland, even though you see the little hints of the Tim stuff that happened yesterday, all the errors he's made over the couple years at Cleveland versus the Guardians. And then you come out on top, and Clase blowing 8 saves. That blows my mind. Like, because his stuff is way too good to blow 3 saves, not much less 8 to lead the league. And so The fact that all those things happened, and in the ninth inning, they played like the White Sox usually play, with all the errors by Rocchio. That is unusual, and it's given me the slightest bit of solace for this season. You beat Cleveland. That's something to build on. That's your main nemesis. You put them on the top because they were the division champions, and they are the reigning champions. So it gives me a little hope in going to next year, but also 23 games below 500. So you're not playing everybody else like you're playing the Guardians. So you need to improve on everybody else. And while you keep maintaining that distance between you and the Guardians.
Well, it just goes to show you the change that came from the new look schedule. I mean, you're taking away 5, 6, 7 games against each of your 4 divisional opponents. The White Sox can have the most success they want against Cleveland, Detroit, and Kansas City. It doesn't make the same amount of difference that it has in years past. And, you could, look across those 3 teams, give the Sox 3, 4, 5 more wins against each of them. I mean, you're talking about a pretty big difference in where they sit in the standings currently and where they could under the old model, so to speak. Those divisional games just aren't as important as they used to be. And as you go as the number of playoff teams keeps growing and the wild cards become equally as important as winning a division in some regard, not entirely, but in some regard, it's just as important to go out there and beat the A's and go out there and beat the Yankees and go out there and beat the Cubs and the Giants and whoever, because you're playing all these teams now. You see how easy it is, not easy, but you see how it can happen that a team can fall 20 plus games under 500 because they just lose too much. You can't just beat up on 3 different teams and expect that to be enough. You need to be good across the board, which is really, it's a positive in that, you can't hide behind your weak division, so to speak, like maybe the White Sox have in years past or other teams have in years past because the AL Central has not been that good. But now you got to go out and beat everybody because that's who you're going to have to beat in the playoffs too. And you're seeing it during the regular season.
Well, and thankfully, Jesse Schultens is on the team. And he's going to be on the team for next year.
Been pretty good, hasn't he?
Second quality start of the road trip, one in Texas, one in Cleveland. He's thrown nearly 50 innings and has an ERA at 3.06. He's been pretty damn good. So, hey, there's something cooking. Is he better than Dylan Cease?
No.
Gentlemen, thoughts?
Thought. Just one thought. No.
We did see Michael Kopech pitch on Saturday, and then we're going to get to some fantastic comments. I know we have some super chats. But Michael Kopech threw 97 pitches, was all right. What wasn't horrible. The velocity was up from last time. I know there was a lot of concern that we had. He was averaging around 95.1 on his fastball. Yearly average is around 95.4, so nothing too alarming there. Didn't get a ton of whiffs on his pitches. He did get 2 on his changeup on 8 swings, 2 on his slider on 12 swings, 5 whiffs on 23 swings on his fastball, but 16 called strikes on his fastball. So that was at least effective. But again, the secondary pitches aren't there. 9% called strike and whiff percentage for the slider, 19% for his changeup, well below average. Still some concerns with Kopech, but he's throwing 97 pitches. The velocity was staying strong. It's a developmental year. I'm not gonna look a gift horse in the mouth, I guess.
But also
4 walks is not good.
Exactly.
Oh.
Exactly.
Feel free to elaborate, Herb. That's all really I had
That's
to say.
literally what I was going to say. Like it seemed like the game plan was to have them pitch or hit the contact, but also he walked 4 people, which is more than he struck out. And that thing keeps on going. But this time it didn't cost him, into the 4th inning where he usually leaves, or the 5th inning. He got into the 6th inning. The brouhaha happened in 5 1/3, and he really couldn't get anybody else out after that. Better outing. There's more there, so it's good to see him do it versus Cleveland, but more consistency would be great. And him pitching like this, pitching to contact, maybe because he knows Cleveland doesn't take a lot of people out of the building, so he's not afraid as much. But yeah, he's got to work on the walking of the people. Like, just battle them, especially now. Like, it's the end of the season. There's no pressure on you really to do anything but just pitch. If they hit you hard, what does it really matter? You're pitching next year. You're in the rotation next year. So let's experiment now. Let's try to go at somebody with a 99-mile-per-hour fastball, rear it back in the 6th inning, reach back for something extra. And if they hit it, they hit it. But for the most part, they're not going to hit it.
Well, I don't know how much this actually showed out or played out in the actual game. You have to go back and watch some of the individual at bats, of course, but I know that during the broadcast today, they were pointing out that I think these were the two top chasing teams in baseball. Mm-hmm. So when you've got, don't forget a second about the White Sox offense and think about Michael Kopech going against the Cleveland offense. If Cleveland's offense is going to do that, you're still walking 4 guys. You know what I mean? Like you're still only getting 3 strikeouts. You're still like, this might be a kind of thing where we look at it and the final results are what they are, and we go, okay, a decent step in the right direction for him. But is this a thing where it is just as concerning? It's just that the other team was the exact right team to not do that damage against. I mean, like if you go up against a patient team, how many guys is he walking in that game? Because Cleveland's going up there swinging.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what's their swing percent? I don't know their swing percent right now. But the outside zone swing was 30%. So I mean, he was able to get outside of the zone contact. He was able to really get that for Cleveland. But yeah, I mean, you go up against, I don't know. I mean, who's he had a bad start against? Like really bad this year.
Cincinnati gave up all those home runs.
Atlanta too.
Didn't make it out of the first inning in that one. Yeah.
Atlanta can walk like crazy. So, I mean, there you go. We saw that there. I mean, it is kind of crazy, though, that the last start that he had was against Cleveland and then was able to come back and have, similar-ish success. I think the biggest thing, though, is just the health seems to be all right, which is the biggest concern because he's got to finish the developmental year. Anything else? Sox are going to welcome the Yankees on tomorrow. So we'll have a post-game show for everybody.
You got the waiver claim you wanted, Sean.
Mm-hmm.
That was Steven's guy. Steven wanted Brett Honeywell.
That was my guy.
There you go, Steven.
Look at Steven.
They've got it tight now. They're trying to get these reclamation projects, former top 100 guys. They did it with Tukey. They're doing it with Luis Patino, and now they go out and get Brett Honeywell too.
I don't care.
It's great. There's no risk. There's no risk. Let me have this one. Come on.
No, I will let you have this one. And I wanted to give you your floor there. I'm glad that you got that out. He could be something. I'm not gonna. Is he on the team yet? Is he Jesse Schultz?
Listen. Like they just traded more than half the bullpen, so they've got bullpen spots to go around.
Bodies.
No, they don't, because Brian Shaw is the best body out there because he's coming out, he's shutting it down for Kopech. That comment got Steven to leave. Shout out to Brian Shaw. No, I mean there's no risk. It can only help. Not really going to hurt. Who is really, who's he taking pitchers from? Who's he taking innings from? They need innings. They need people with lively arms. So, hey, maybe it won't work. Maybe it will. It won't really affect anything for the 2023 season. But maybe it will for the 2024 season, and obviously we'll continue to track it. My guy Lame Ramsey also got called up
today. Yeah,
very easy to find him in that fight last night because he was the tallest one, 6'9". John Rauchian, love to see it. Very excited to see what he can do. He's got a real lively fastball. It was great to see him
4 up, 4 down today.
Mm-hmm. And he was great in spring training. So, and I know he's been good in AAA. So the Sox might have got another guy. They're going to have Jimmy Lambert, who got a save, a 6'9" freak. Gregory Santos, who's like a 6'7" freak.
Now, is he a freak because he's good at baseball? Or is that the way you're using that? Or is he just, you call all 6'9" people freaks?
Anybody above 6'5" is a freak.
Every NBA player is a freak. You're 6'5", you're fast, and you can jump and dunk. You're a freak. That's weird. I am 5'9" and balding. So, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, there are NBA players who are balding also.
Yeah, but like LeBron James is also 6'7",
including the best one.
And, 6'7" and can dunk. he's
like
really good. Right. And I've never been able to dunk at 40, 20, 16, nothing. So yeah, I would call them respectfully a freak. So anyways, I know some Cubs fans are invading as the Cubs are apparently beating the Braves or something. The Cubs will have a post-game show later on today on CHGO Sports. So make sure you're tuning in. We'll have a post-game show tomorrow after the Sox take on the Yankees. So make sure you're coming around. Hit that like button if you are still hanging out with us. And we will be here until the end of the season, the march towards 100 or the magnetic push of 100. We will see. Glass half full, glass half empty. Garrett Cole versus Dylan Cease too. So it should be a fun pitching matchup. We will see you tomorrow. That's Vinnie Duber.
Whoa. We got 2 super chats.
Oh, right. Thank you, Steven. This is why you're the producer. All right.
Steven doesn't want to go quite yet.
King of the first. We'll go to super chats first. Our guy Ellie with the $1.99 super chat. His brother did not know who Ohtani was, so I'm glad that Ellie could let him know. He's going to be playing for the Chicago Cubs soon. And then next super chats from our guy Matthew Lucas. Just supporting CHGO Sox content. You boys do a great despite the last few seasons team results. Thanks for being there for fans. Cheers. And we're always trying to be there for fans, whether you're a Bulls fan, Blackhawks fan, Cubs fan, whether you're having a good time with your fandom, a bad time with your fandom, we're always going to be there. And hey, Vinny's going to be at the park too, making sure you're getting in the insight to we're not going to use rebuild, retooling. We have to give it. We're human. We have to label. We have to label it. No. We have to give it a name.
TTGO, the thing that's going on.
Yeah,
TGO. Yeah.
I'm kind of sick of retooling and rebuilding. What if we take from Beyonce? It's the White Sox Renaissance.
No, that's good. This is not. I hope it's not a Renaissance.
Lane Ramsey's in the bullpen. What 2024 is going to be a movie. We got the Lifetime movie Zach Remillard out here doing work.
Who could play someone who's 6'9" though?
Lane Ramsey.
He's going to play himself.
Not a good actor either.
He's a freak. He's multifaceted. Lucas Giolito. I mean, he's 6'7". He can do the pitching.
He's in those Darvin Furniture commercials.
Right. He does great.
He's got acting experience.
Worst pitcher in baseball. But thank you, Matthew Lucas. We appreciate you guys helping us out. Renovation. That's pretty good.
Alejandro.
Yeah, Alejandro.
Well, why does it have to be a anything?
I don't know. Well, it's rebuild, retool. It seems like, I guess Renaissance is I don't know. Just we have to label it.
And because all the things are in place that were in place before this, so we got to redo it.
Rejuvenation.
We'll work on it. We'll workshop it.
Yeah, that's Vinnie Duber. He's our wordsmith. You can follow him on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. Thank you, Steven. I'm going to still do it. That's Vinnie Duber. You can follow him on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. He's our CHGO White Sox beat writer. That's Herb Lawrence. You can follow him on Twitter at Ecknerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. The king of the game is Luis Robert Jr. Nice batting average of 308, 357, 1 homer and 3 RBIs. And that's over the past week, right, Steven? I think.
That is correct. Yes. Last 7 days.
Last 7 days for Luis Robert Jr., including today, including the home run that got him to 30. He also had a triple, his first triple of 2023, which could have been a double, and that could have gave him the 30-30 season that he's closing in on. But we will wait and see. Maybe he'll do it against the Yankees tomorrow. I'm Sean Anderson, your host. Follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. Thank you to everyone for hanging out with us. We will talk to you tomorrow after they play the Yankees. Goodbye.
Bye.